Enshrouded's brand new Wake of Water update has dropped. Not only does it include a ton of updates to the overall game, including tons of quality of life stuff and more, it also gives us the brand new water mechanics. And with that, I want to talk about those new mechanics and some of the neat and interesting things that you can do with it, as well as just some of the things that the patch notes in the game just doesn't tell you. Like for example, I'm sure many of you have wondered, hey, can I build a fountain with the new water? Because I know building is a big part of this game, and at first glance, you may think that that's not doable, but it is. There's just one simple trick you have to remember. This little doohickey right here is what you're going to use for all the neat water stuff around your base. It is an infinite source of water. It will just spit water out forever until water equals its level. If water never equals its level, well, it never stops spitting water out. Do note here that you cannot flood your map. The water will only go so far, but we'll talk about that and how you can overcome that issue to some extent here in a bit. But if you want to create a fountain, there's only a few things you need to remember. This thing cannot have water covering it, and water only ever wants to flow down. So you can't do a situation where you create like a spout because the water will only want to go down. So in order to create a fountain, all you need to do is make sure that wherever you place this little thing, you place it facing downwards and that there is a 1 block gap between it and whatever else it's facing down towards. And that of course the water has a way to flow out. This ensures that it just never stops going because it can never be covered up by water. And here's a cross section of how something like that would look so you can get an idea of how to design fountains around it using this method. Another thing I recommend when you're making a fountain is to make the basin that catches the water at least 2 blocks high, because the water tends to want to go up over a single block height, even if you have drains, which is the other thing I recommend, is putting drains, at least 1 or 2 of them, depending on how big the area is. The smaller the area, the more drains you're going to need in order to keep up with the flow of water. Bigger areas will need less drains, and you just put those at however high you want the water to go. So if you want it to reach near the top, then you place the drain as close to the top as you can get it. Otherwise, if you don't have a drain, your basin of water will just fill up and overflow and spill water out everywhere, completely ruining the effect of a fountain. If water does spill out a little bit, you can just make a water pump. This is your tool for manipulating water. It allows you to suck water up off the ground or put water down on the ground, or literally water wherever you want it. Let's talk about one of the new mechanics that has been added to the game, and that is force. This is used to power some of your crafting stations. Currently, I only know of one, and that is the mill. I assume they're probably going to add others in the future. In order to apply force to the crafting stations, you need a water wheel or a windmill. These don't have to be connected to anything special. They just need to be within the confines of your base in order to apply force to any crafting station that needs it. And you may think that once you get the water wheel, which I'll show you how to get here in a minute, you need to put it in some type of massive water situation, whatever, water flowing, but no, you really don't. You just need it to be ever so slightly touching a bit of flowing water, as you can see in my demonstration here, and it will turn, applying force to said crafting stations. And while we're here, I'll explain how I did this setup. I just carved a little area out of my base here and put the spout up at the top, and I kind of hit it a little bit towards the back. It is up a little bit so that the water will never flow above it. Then the water flows out of it, pulls up just a little bit in front of it, and then spills over the edge into a little pond area that I have created. And in the bottom of the pond area, I have a drain on the side in order to keep the pond from overflowing. Very similar to how we set up the fountain situation, except this just creates like a natural little stream, which is perfect because then it has flowing water and you can just slap a water wheel on it. But as you'll see, you can also just put the water wheel in a massive pond of water as long as that water is flowing out somewhere, which leads me to how you get the water wheel. You want to head to River Reach. You can see where it is here on the map. It is between these 2 towers. And once you get here, it's pretty easy to unlock the water wheel. If you're facing the 2 water wheels, you're just going to head to the left. You'll see a building with some saws in it. You're going to shut those saws down because it makes it easy to get a chest that's underneath here as well, but you don't have to. You're going to head through this door. There's an area down here that you're going to have to dig through. Once you do that, it gets you down to the bottom. There are 2 things you need to touch here, which is the millstone and the little note here, but you can't pull the millstone until you stop the water. To stop the water, it's very easy to do. Just jump down into the water, swim to the end of it. You'll see 3 gates there. Shut those gates. And this is an example example of what I was saying before, where the water just needs to be moving. It doesn't need to be a waterfall. But once you shut those gates, then you can go back and you can pull the millstone out, which will give you the ability to make the mill. You can then make the water wheel, the windmill, or the mill at the alchemist. Let's talk about fishing. You can fish in any body of water. It does not matter. What does matter though is how big the body of water is, because the fish needs enough room to pull back and forth to the left and right and to do the mini game. If you fish in a little tiny pool of water, which you can do, it will spawn a little fish that will bite. Once it starts to pull, it will hit a wall and promptly end the mini game. And as you can see here, this little pond that I'm fishing in is not very big, so you don't need a massive area to fish. You also don't need to have fish already in there. This one just happens to already have them. It was a nice little pool to use, so I wanted to show you. You can actually grab these fish by hand if you jump in there and grab them, but if you just cast a lure into any body of water, it will just naturally spawn a fish to go after that lure. So with this knowledge, you can easily make a nice little fishing pond on your own base so you and your friends can have a nice little fishing siesta. Speaking of friends, now is a perfect time to grab an Enshrouded server to play with your friends from today's sponsor, ggportal. ggportal is an absolutely fantastic server host. I use them for any server I set up for the community, and it's always an absolute solid experience. First off, you can set servers up with just a few clicks. It's super easy, super intuitive to do, and you can have a server up and running in just a couple of minutes. And one of the things that I really like is that you're actually just paying for the server resources. So let's say you set up an Enshrouded server and then you and your friends get bored of it in a couple weeks and you still have a week or two left. You could then convert that server into a whole host of other server options, which in my opinion is just a really fantastic way of doing things. So check out my link down there in the description. It will get you a discount on the first month of your server. It helps me out and it also helps you out, so why not give it a go? Another thing that they did with this patch is that they allowed all of the different crafting stations that use water to have their own built-in water tank that will just fill up from any wells that are nearby. From what I can tell, it looks like it uses the closest well and then expands out from there. And all you have to do is just click the fill button and bam, you're good to go. But if that's not enough water for you and you want even more water, you can put anything that holds water inside of them. So for example, the water pump, which holds 500 units of water, you can toss that in there and have 500 units of water. Or any of the water flasks, which hold 20 apiece, you can throw those in there as well as the watering can go in there and will increase the total amount of water available. This is really, really handy because it means you don't have to keep fussing around with those stations. You can just put a whole ton of water in there at one time and set it and forget it. So a few things I noticed when working with water around your base. First off, if you're creating a little feature where you want water flowing, so for example, a small waterfall or what have you, and you want it to flow a specific way, let the water run live while you are messing with the terrain. There's a lot of reasons for this, mainly because it's not going to go the way you think it's going to go most of the time. So the best way to get it to go where you want it to go is to edit while it is flowing so you can see it update in real time. It just makes things much easier. I know that may seem intuitive, but it may not be for some people. So I wanted to make sure I put that out there. The other thing is water will only flow so far. So you can see in this example here, it stops short of filling up my pond. Well, it should fill up this pond, and in order to get it to do so, you can relatively easy just use the water pump to extend the water out a little bit. Once the water starts to cover the whole bottom of the area, it will then fill up to the top. And you're thinking, well, Firespark, shouldn't that then overflow? And I would think it would too, but in this situation, it didn't. So it appears to be a situation of how far the water is from the water source creator. Depends on whether or not it will overflow an area, because you can see that this clearly filled up over a given amount of time. I wasn't continuously putting water in it. I just got it started, but then it stopped and didn't overflow. And if for some reason it did overflow or water went where you didn't want it to go while you're trying to edit the waterfall or whatever you're doing with the water live, just remember you can use the pump to clean up any water messes you make. And obviously I saved the best for last, and that is water elevators. So yes, we now have the ability to create water elevators. They gave us the water doors, which prevent water from passing through them in order to be able to build underwater bases, but they also keep water in. This means you can do a situation where you essentially fill an area full of water and then have one of these doors on the front of it so that you can then use it to swim up and or down or left or right, literally whatever you want to do, you can create traversal tubes with this setup. If you are making a water elevator, I highly suggest you start at the bottom with one of the water dispenser spouts and you place it about halfway up, let the water fill up till it stops at the spout, then pick the spout up and move it up a little bit and just rinse and repeat that until the whole area is filled with water. Then once it's completely full, you can just pick the spout up and then use it elsewhere. You won't need it anymore because the water will just stay in that area and you will have a complete water elevator or tube or whatever you decided to make with it. All right, we're gonna wrap it up there. Hopefully you all found this video helpful and informational. If you did, please consider hitting the subscribe button and notification bell so you can be notified when I upload other videos. And if you're looking for some more of my content, you can find a link to another one of my videos on the screen right now. I want to give an absolute massive shout out and thank you to all of my channel supporters. You all are absolutely amazing people. If you would like to become an official channel supporter, check out the links in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. If you're shy, you don't like to comment, just hit that thumbs up button and share your support. Until next time, thanks for watching.